Hello! Welcome to Bad at Board Games.
Well, he's bad at board games.
I'm Brad Blake.
I'm Toph Ferguson.
And we're bad at board games, so you don't have to be. What are we playing, Toph?
Yes, today we are coming at you with the ultimate game of...
Intimidation?
Intimidation. Just fear, trepidation. What the hell are we getting ourselves into? Today, we are talking about none other than Twilight Imperium 4th edition. It is a Fantasy Flight Games of terror.
Granddaddy of them all.
Of all of them, right? Yes. Twilight Imperium, man, this is a game that we have wanted to play for a while. It's a game that truly has intimidated me. I did not know what this game was going into it. I was not prepared to jump into the very first game. And holy cow, this is one of those games that is on my list of I suck at. But I'm getting better.
Second.
I did so terrible, and I came in second place. This is a game that strikes me because this is not a battle game like I thought it was going to be. This is a game of diplomacy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it takes place in space, and it is just beautiful in how it plays.
Yeah, this game's appearance, it looks nice, right? Is it stunning on the table? I can't say that it's a stunning game on the table, but what it is it's grand. It's grandiose on the table. There's so many of these tiles taking up the space, and then you've got all your players have individual cards, and then they've got, a color that goes with it, and then you've got all these ships and all these pieces, and it's grandiose. It takes up an entire table plus, right? Leaves extended, and when you put this out, you're like, oh, I'm finally gonna get to play this, right? And the artwork is really nice. I mean, and you look in the book, they've got 3 tomes as Toph called out, but the artistry in this is gorgeous. Now it doesn't quite translate to the board, but it's such a grand scale that you're trying to create here that there's no way it could. But it's just, I don't know, grandiose. Like you walk by this, and I think there's a Star Trek game, and I don't remember what that one is, and it's just massive, and you look at that and go like, oh, that is wicked. I want to play it just because of like how grandiose that thing looks on the table.
But yet the intimidation factor is still there.
Oh yeah,
looking at the table scheme.
It's like, how long does it take to play that? Oh, 5 to 10 hours. What?
Yeah, it translates well. Tablescape 2 size. Yeah, and it does play well. I think there's a lot of hate for games that will take you 4, 6, 8 plus hours.
Oh, no.
And I can understand that is not for everyone. I appreciate that. Is not always something that I want to do either.
Yeah.
But I do not shy away from those long games. Arkham Horror is one of my absolute favorite games, and 2nd edition Arkham Horror can take you 6, 8 plus hours. I've had a 10-hour game before with that. So, there is a commitment to this. It is a game where you're going to have to interact a lot with those that are sitting at the table. I think that's some of the beauty of it, and that also shows that it's not just a battle game. This is a game of global, or not global, of galactic diplomacy is the best way that I can put that. You are fighting a little bit. Battle takes place in this game, but it is not the focus of the game. You have objectives, you have goals that you have to hit, you have laws that you are voting on, trying to enact and alter the game or break the game in some way, shape, or form. You have your specific race. Yes, you do want to dominate the board, but it's not necessarily who has the most amount of planets is going to win. It's not necessarily the one who wins the battles is going to win. You may lose your battles, but still gain your objectives. So, when it comes down to the gameplay of this game is one that's going to make your mind hurt to a point,
right?
Because you really have to think outside the box. It's not risk. You're not going out saying, I just need to commandeer all these planets. It's okay, let's sit and let's really work through this. And it works.
It's real interesting, and I went into it thinking space battle. Space opera, it's the battle, it's Star Wars on a big map, and you're gonna move stuff around, you're gonna go fight things. And it's just not. You get, I think, 5 objectives for the first half of the game, and then 5 for the second half, and then sometimes some other objectives can come out. And none of them are really about battle. It is really interesting. And so that, you're trying to get something, or you're trying to get a couple planets. So the planets may require you to go get a battle, but you might be able to get them without battling at all. And then the times we played it, I sit back and I watch our group, and it's more about the Cold War. Yep. It's hilarious to watch. Literally, somebody moved one tile over, and then the person next to him going like, why are you coming so close to me? Like, it is literally like, you don't want to get attacked, and it's like, this game is a Cold War. Yes. You're literally in a Cold War all the time, and it's hilarious to watch somebody else just all of a sudden be like, you got a little too close to me all of a sudden. And then like, now it's like you're building up this wall and trying to be like, how do I make sure that person doesn't come and get me in? or you're sitting down, you have these cards that you can use negotiations with people to be able to draw up these contracts so that you are in agreement that you're not going to attack each other. Alliances, I guess, kind of can be formed in it. But it's not even all of that. Part of it is just your own abilities. It's upgrading your technologies. It's upgrading the ships that you have, making them more powerful. Maybe not even to use them as an attack, but to say, look at this ship. You're not going to kill this ship off. Yeah. Like, you're not at all. It's hard to explain. It is. There's so much here. And the times we played it does not feel like more than 5 hours. Like, it doesn't feel like 5 hours even. It's like, you're like looking down and like, you're on turn 3, and it's been 3 hours and 3 turns, and it feels like time just goes by so fast. You are involved in this game. So you watch my Space Base one was one of the first ones I did, and like, don't laugh too much. But the reason I like Space Base is you're involved, you're not sitting there, you're not bored, right? Believe it or not, this game with its grandiose and breadth and space opera, you're involved in everybody's turns because you get these directives that if you chose it, you get the primary one, but then everybody else can chip in with one of their tactics and their, limited resource pools to be able to do the secondary objective on it. So you're not necessarily doing it on everybody's turn, but you're like, what does that do again? What does diplomacy allow me to do? Or construction? Yeah, I want to build, so I definitely want to get on that one. And you got the technology tree one. So, and I got to make sure I tech something up. So I have to use my resource over there. And so you're constantly, looking back and forth, and you can be like, hey, let me come over here and get this. And if it's a verbal agreement, he can break it, right? There's only like these cards that like you can't break it, or if something happens and you lose your victory point or whatever. But like, it's that duplicitous. Is that even a word? I don't even think that's a word. Anyway, you can be a Putin and like lie to everybody, but it's so interesting with this Cold War thing going on in this game, and it's less about the battles. Yeah, but you're really worried because some of these factions are so like, my ability is I go and try to kill you.
But even with those, the first game that we played of this, your son had one of those factions where it was war heavy.
Yeah, he had a war son.
He had a Death Star out that he was moving. Yeah, and he did not win. And even the battles that he was in, they weren't really coming to fruition. I mean, it is. You have limited resources. It's an economic game in terms of your play and what you have the ability to do. And you could want to destroy somebody all you want, but if you don't have enough tokens that you have arranged in the appropriate way, you're screwed. I mean, you can't do anything.
Or your ships don't move that fast. Yeah. So it's like, you can do that, but I can see you coming, right? Yeah. You're not going to get the war sun
3 turns to get to me.
To get to me, right? I've played the Lions. I played the the tech guys the last time, and I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna tech tree this out. But like, it's you have to play to your strength, but at the same time, that doesn't win you the game. There's just so much, and we're just rattling on and not really giving you any specifics. I apologize for that, but like, I guess one of the things to tell you about this game is it's worth it if you can get the team. And I would say, like, our first experience was, well, we were both kind of meh, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, my older sons, they loved it. Like, this is probably their number 2 or number 1 game.
Yeah.
Like, right off the get-go.
And I enjoyed it.
But it was still like, we were meh.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we did it at Christmas. Like, we were going to be like, this is our, we planned this out, and we're going to spend all day playing this game. And the first time it was just like, it's neat. I like it. And I liked seeing that whole Cold War thing going on, but kind of meh. And then this last time, what?
Vastly different for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I started understanding the side of it that I had to play this political leader and really interact well with the other people that I'm playing against. And understand that it's not the battle, and not to be too afraid of going into the battle. It's not player elimination. You're not going to fall out of it. You might not win, but I understood the politics of this game and how you have to be diplomatic. You have to make wise decisions. There's a reason why this game is a 4.5 out of 5 or 4.8 out of 5 on the heavyweight scale on BGG. There's so much to it that it's beautiful. The gameplay, honestly, is beautiful.
So we talk about how heavy it is, right? How hard it is to learn. It's a beast. I'm trying to think what I think about this. Kanban EV is usually one I go to, like, how hard is it to learn? I had to watch a few videos, right? And the book is well done. And like, it's got a glossary in there. It's alphabetical. Like, you literally can go to the back, look up what you're looking for in alphabetical order, which games have been around long enough to have that, and then go to the page it tells you to go to, read it, and like, you really understand exactly what that word is. And like, you don't have to read that to play the game. You're reading, how to move your ships, and everybody gets so uptight about the battle system in this. And I would tell you, don't get so wrapped up in the battle system.
It's not going to happen that often.
Get it to the table and just move around and understand the other stuff. And then when you have a battle, then watch the battle part, because it is not that difficult. It's not Risk, but at the same time, like, there's these stages. The biggest thing is the movement, because you're going to pick a place and you're going to say, I'm going to move here. And then that restricts you. You can't move out of that place that you activated, right? So there's the activation part, I think, is one of the more interesting mechanics and rule play of this that you have to get your head around. I have not played a game like it. Do you know of anyone that, like, where you have to, when you're activating? I mean, Brass, but not really.
No,
even that.
No, Brass doesn't really do that. So what Brad's talking about with the activation is, when you want to do something in this game, whenever you take an action, that action is going to take place on one of these hexes. And so if you want to move into a hex, you activate that hex, you move your ships to it. If you want to go into a battle, you put down your activation token in somebody else's hex and you move to it. Once your token is on that hex, until the next round, that hex can never be used by you again. So those ships can't come out of it. You can't produce in it. You can't do anything else in it.
You can't move more ships in it the next phase. Like, if you put that in there, and then you have to move all your ships from everywhere that you would ever want to go to that until the complete next round.
Yeah, and it's not even like you can move all your ships into it and then set up for an attack, because then you have to wait until the next entire round, which might be an hour away. And that's, I think, some of that diplomatic, being that leader, being that governmental leader, trying to figure out how it is that you're going to spend your resources, your time, your space, everything.
Yeah, it's worth it. I know there are going to be people like, I won't touch that with a 10-foot pole. And the people that are interested in it, I guess we're just trying to let you know, your first game could be meh. Your first game could be like, oh my God, I love this. I think I was really worried. I'm like, I just spent $120 on this game and I don't like it.
I felt the same thing. I was like, oh man, Brad didn't like it. I didn't like it.
That was really where I started at. But I'm like, this is one of those games, or one of those, even like a movie where you watch the movie and you're like, that's all right. The more you watch it, you're like, then you start, like, you watch it again and again, and like, oh my God, I loved that movie, like, and you become a big fan of it. This is kind of, I think, every time you play this, the more you're going to like it. And, we're kind of trying to we're just trying to table this like every 3 months. This is not get it out every week.
I want to play it all the time.
Yeah, but like, oh yeah, and remember, in the stories you have stories out of this, and it's, I think it's just going to kind of build. And then, there's a lot of diehard fans around Twilight Imperium, that they'll have it and get people around the state to play, because it is hard to find people to play.
It is not a game for everyone.
Right.
This is not a game I would bring into our regular gaming group. Maybe some Saturday we'll say, hey, if you're interested, come play. But this is not a, hey, we're gonna have a gaming night, let's play Twilight Imperium. This is a, hey, let's self-select people who we know want to actually sit down and have that long of an encounter and play. So not something I want to play all the time, but definitely something that you want to bring out kind of regularly if you've got a group. It does take a group. This is not something I think that I would ever want to play with like 3 people or 2 people.
Yeah.
It needs
We've been playing it 4,
and
I would be happy to play with a bigger group, but then that's going to take even longer. 4 has been a nice, I don't know, maybe 5 would probably be a nice player count.
Yeah.
I think going to the full number.
Or whatever
yeah, I can't remember. It probably says somewhere on here, but that might be even longer than I'm willing to stick it out for right now. But it's one of those, it just grows, and you've got so many options.
Yes.
And this isn't, and you can play it where it's just like, here, take a random one, but you don't have to. I think part of the fun of the game is reading these cards, seeing what kind of speaks to you. It's got fluff on the back. How do you want to play? Do you want a turtle? Do you want to attack? Do you want to be the humans? Do you want to be the plants? Do you want to be a virus? It's got a lot going on.
Yeah.
And
they've done a great job with the storyline. They've done a great job with creating these races and giving you the story that you need to feel like you actually are playing.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the benefit of having a game that's been around and still in publication. And this is the 4th edition. I think this was in the 80s. It's been around a long time. I didn't look it up. Apologize for that. But, it is the granddaddy. I don't know of a game that comes close to it. I know Eclipse, haven't played that. Some of you, if you have, let me know what you think about Eclipse versus this. Maybe we'll get that to the table in the next year. I don't even know if that's even in print, but we're gonna continue to play hard and heavy games and tell you what we think, and whether we like them or not, you may.
So I've got to ask, our first game was meh.
Yeah.
Where are you now? What are you thinking rating wise?
So I would have said, I knew we were going to play it again. So like when you say a 5 or a 6, it's almost a game you won't play again. Yeah. This isn't a game I don't want to play again. This is a game I kind of wanted to, you're like fine wine. You learn to enjoy it. Right. So, but I would have said coming out of the gate, 6.5. Right now, it's going to be the 8. It's going to be to me, it's going to be a solid 8. I want to play this. Like, I want to play this every 3 or 4 months. I want to have that kind of an experience. And, I can just see that being kind of like, hey, yeah, this is the, which holiday or whatever event's coming up that we can all sit down and 4 of us get together and spend 5 to 6, 8 hours and have barbecue and, food and chips and whatever, and sit here and play this thinky game.
Yeah. Yeah.
How about you?
I don't know. So my first rating after our first game was a 7. And I think kind of like you just said, a 5, I don't really want to play again.
Right.
I think I put it as a 7 because I knew how well the game played, even though I didn't necessarily think I enjoyed it.
Right.
At a 7, I knew that that's where the game was ranking for me in terms of how well the game mechanics worked, how well the storyline went, how well we were able to pick it up and play it.
Right.
But I also knew that I needed to play it again because I felt like I didn't understand it. I felt like I ended the game saying, what just happened? Where did this day go? What did I do? What happened?
Mm-hmm.
It's still, I think, a 7.
Mm.
But it's now a 7. It's probably 7.5 if I can give a half.
Right.
It might make
We're
its way
bad
up
at
to
rules.
an,
We're bad at
we just
scoring.
break everything.
So, yeah, whatever.
I think it will get to an 8. I don't know if I will ever have this as a 9.
Mhm.
I don't really rank 10s. So I don't know if I would say that this is ever going to become a 9. I think I can see it becoming an 8.
Mhm.
The more that we play it, the more that we work through new races, the more that I continue to grasp kind of the full understanding of what I need to do.
Mhm.
Right now, 7.5, but it's a solid 7.5. I want to play this. I want it to come
Right.
back to the table occasionally.
Right.
But it's not replacing for me Arkham Horror, or some of these other,
Mhm.
long games, or the Brass and the Kanban EV, some of these other thinky, heavier games.
And those, well, and that's a 2-hour game versus
That's
like,
true. That
an
is true.
8-hour
Yeah.
game, right? I would agree with you. But and I guess I'm probably not so rigid on my number rating. When I say 8, it's just kind of like I'm going to want to continue to play this game.
Mhm.
9 and 10s are like,
I wanna play
I
them all the
love
time.
that experience, right? So, and I guess if I'm going by loving that experience, maybe this is in that 7.5 range.
Okay.
If I really have to be like, think about loving that experience.
Mhm.
I like this game. I enjoyed, but cutting up and all that kind of stuff, like that extra half point, maybe I have to like
Yeah.
reevaluate
Put that into it.
my list. But I want to continue playing it. I think the more I play it, the more I'm going to enjoy it.
We will not be doing a live playthrough for
No.
YouTube of Twilight Imperium.
No.
So sorry for the none of you who have watched our playthroughs so far.
They're great. They're wonderful.
Maybe you'll get a 30-second short. So
30 seconds out of an 8-hour game.
Right.
That would be amazing editing. I'm not doing that. It would be, hi, welcome to Twilight Imperium.
done. Brad lost.
There you go. There you go. So thank you very much for subscribing. Thank you very much for commenting, hanging out with us, like clicking on Twilight Imperium that's been around forever and being like, who are these idiots and why should I be watching them?
We definitely appreciate it. Let us know. Have you played this game? What are your thoughts? Is this something that you play regularly? Is it something that you are itching to play? Or are you still on that verge of being a little too intimidated like we were to bring it to the table?
Yeah. For those that, have one of these, great groups that you get together every month or whatever and play this, I'd love if you just be like, that's the best game ever. And yeah, what's your favorite race? That would be cool.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for spending a few minutes of your day and your precious time with us. You guys are elite. We keep going up in the number of subs. That's freaking cool. What can I say?
Yeah, we definitely appreciate it. You guys are amazing.
Thank you and have a great night.
Bye.